Good morning. Thank you. So, again, in this perspective of being a bit systemic and seeing Artemisia as part of a whole system, I'm going to speak to you this morning about the Maendeleo African Regenerative Farming Initiative by the Aga Khan Foundation that was launched about 3.5 years back under the request of a partner organization within the Aga Khan system called the Industrial Promotion Services. They came to us asking, well, we are growing a range of crops. We would like to become a little bit more sustainable because we're seeing that even the farmers working with us are seeing massive soil fertility depletion, reduction in yields, and it's becoming very critical for us. So do you think you have solutions for us? So I said, well, fine, but I need to warn you, I don't work in conventional farming. I'm not smart enough to work in this. I don't know at all how to do conventional farming. Since I graduated as an agronomist, I've always and consistently refused to work with synthetic inputs. So Maendeleo means in Swahili to move forward, to progress, okay? And the choice was for us to use a Swahili word. As you know, Swahili is, first of all, absolutely African as a language, but it's also the largest language in Africa with more than 200 million locutors. And basically this is how the initiative started. We worked with the IPS people. We started designing a curriculum and being exposed to farmers. So the first thing we did was to sit down under the mango tree with the farmers and just listen to their stories. And their stories were very interesting. They were complaining about costs. I mean, it was in a situation where we had the COVID, the war in Ukraine, and as you know, prices, not only for commodities, but also for inputs, have literally gone beyond the ceiling, tripling in most cases, and farmers were really struggling to keep up and to remain profitable and literally to survive in their activities. So, you know, we started understanding this and trying to find local, low-cost, natural solutions to address this. Next slide. So in our approach to regenerative farming, we have 7 principles. I will not go through all of them. You can take pictures and we can speak longer in another occasion about them. But the number one for us is 100% natural, organic, and local inputs. And this is absolutely essential to us. And this is where Artemisia comes, because it's natural, it's organic, and it's local if you introduce it into the farming system. So the approach that we've taken is to address landscape as a unit. For example, a watershed or any given specific area, and to address also farm as a system. We've decided also to blend science and indigenous knowledge, precisely sitting under the mango tree or under the tamarind tree with a farmer and just listening to what they were doing. And that's the agrochemical companies. And making sure that they were able to remind us of what their forefathers were doing. Because as you know, conventional agriculture is really the child of World War I. Okay? At the end of World War I, there were huge stocks of combat gases that were transformed into pesticides, huge amounts of explosives that were transformed into fertilizers, and a lot of machinery from the tanks and other trucks that were turned into agricultural machines. And what is absolutely important, and I'm very happy that it came earlier in this symposium, is the co-development of solutions. So myself, I train trainers, but I don't train farmers, because farmers train me. I'll never be good enough to train a farmer. But what I always tell the trainers that I work with is make sure that when you co-develop a solution with a farmer or you transfer knowledge to the farmer, make sure that this farmer has the feeling that he's the one who found the solution. Because when he has this feeling, it means that appropriation is not anymore a question. And if appropriation is not anymore a question, adoption is obvious and immediate. Next slide. So the packaging of knowledge we've put together is called SIMS. What is a SIM? It's not the card you have in your phone, okay? It's a small, integrated, innovative, and impactful module. What is it? It's a brick of knowledge that's been designed and shaped in such a way that it's accessible to even an illiterate audience in less than an hour. So something extremely simple that gets delivered literally under the mango tree. And what is it? Here you have an example. In this drum, we're fermenting chicken feathers. Simply. And by fermenting chicken feathers, you're able to obtain a liquid fertilizer that is absolutely crazy. Not too long ago, I was on a farm with Liz, because Liz here and Jafet are my colleagues here. They've been instrumental in making also this project successful. So Liz, you remember we were with this farmer, and he came to me and he said, "You guys are putting me in trouble." I said, "What's happening, Baba?" He said, "Well, my maize now is 4 meters tall. And the cobs are the size of my forearm. And now I have bypassers and neighbors that are knocking on my door to get the seeds of this magical maize. And I keep on telling them, it's not the magical maize. It's exactly the same as the one you're growing, except I'm using chicken juice." So, and this is just one example of all those very simple solutions that we are developing with the farmers and promoting. As a matter of fact, now we have, in most areas where we're working, a menu, just like in a restaurant, okay? And they have 30 dishes to choose. They can choose 2 starters, 3 desserts. It's up to them. But at least they have access to those solutions that are extremely simple, extremely affordable, and yet very impactful. Next slide. So how did we design the delivery? And I owe this to Liz. So we started the initial pilot in Kenya, and Liz came with the idea of, okay, how about we go and see the National Youth Services of Kenya. And they brought this excellent idea. They said, well, we have unemployment in this country. We have lots of young agricultural technicians that are struggling to find a job. So what we did, we hired a few of them. We trained them. We reformatted them into regenerative farming. And these young people here, and they're the real ones, the pioneers, okay? Their leader here is Obed that you see there, and each one of them was able, within a matter of less than 2 years, to reach and train 1,000 farms in their area. And it's a very small group. You know, we made a huge change with budgets that were ridiculously low. And what is very nice is now that in this group, we have people that are being now poached by the private sector because they've become so good. But I can tell you, the first day I started the training with them, I told Liz, I'm going to give up. No eye contact, no answer to any of my questions. It was a total monologue for the whole day. And I said to Liz, what's happening here? And as a matter of fact, these young people were just, they had no more hope in the future. They had no more ambition because couldn't find a job, and no more self-esteem. And now if you listen to them, it's just unbelievable, you know. Just transformative. But these green champions, as we call them, they only work for about 2 years in their area. We guarantee a salary for that period. Then they become self-employed, they become micro-entrepreneurs, they are hired by companies. We need to maintain the efforts in the field. So that's where, during the 2 years that they are there, we identify what we call the anchor farmers. Those that are performing well, those that are very respected in their community. This lady here, her name is Betty. And Betty is standing in the middle of a potato field, right? It's the first time in her life she was able to produce potato like this, just because she was able to control her pests, her diseases, and her soil fertility using solutions that were entirely natural and extremely cheap. Next one. So, what are the outcomes at this stage? We've documented yield increases ranging from 7% to 300% in the first year. So you often hear that, yeah, if you transition to regenerative farming or organic farming, be ready to see your yields plummet for 3-4 years before going back to normal. First year, the lowest yield increase was 7%. Farmers have seen also a reduction of their input costs by up to 95%. And when we ask farmers, what are you doing with this money that you've been able to save? We don't need to tell them what to do. They're very wise. You know, they tell us, you see those 2 cows in the field there? I bought them because I saved so much money. Or now I have solar panels on top of my house. My children can study at night. Or I've been able to send this year for the first time all of my kids to school. You know, it's so much more productive than being absolutely dependent on a system that requires you to pay every year most of your profit to buy inputs and be literally a slave of a system, being part of a vicious circle. And what we would like to see happening is more and more farmers getting out of this vicious circle into a virtuous spiral of prosperity. So this is an outcome. This is what, no, this one. This is coffee that was very unproductive and was treated, and after a period of 6 months, this is what we're getting. And those coffee trees were pretty much like the ones you've seen the other day when we did the tour, pretty terrible, okay? So it works really well. Small quiz, what is this? I wish it was a truffle. I'd be so rich. Yeah, it's a bacterial nodule from a leguminous plant. Have you seen the size of the thing? My hand is not small, eh? Okay, so this comes also with some of the solutions. The soil is alive. The soil is healthy, and when it becomes healthy, the nodules become absolutely gigantic. Usually they're the size of a pinhead. So the impact. Very interestingly, when we've asked farmers, okay, so what's the best benefit you can report on your transition? We're expecting, you know, well, I save 95% of my input costs, and I earn and produce more. This was our expectation, okay? No? Better health, better nutrition. You know, we have dropped our health costs. We feel so much more energized. We don't cough when we're coming back from the field, and we don't need to wait those 2-3 weeks after the last spraying before harvesting. And even before, when we were doing this, we still had diarrhea or lots of issues in our tummies because of chronic and acute pesticide poisoning. Just to give you an idea, 1 billion farmers in the world today. There's about 1 billion full-time farmers in the world. How many of them get acute pesticide poisoning, acute, not chronic, acute pesticide poisoning every year? About 400 million, 40%. And these are not the consumers, these are the farmers. Okay, so that's quite important. In India, you have a train that goes from Rajasthan, that is a state of India where you have the highest use of pesticides, of chemical pesticides, to Punjab, that has the best health system. Okay, and every day there's one train with about 1,500 passengers going from Rajasthan to Punjab, and it's called the cancer train. All farmers that have been exposed to pesticides and are facing the dire consequences. So can we go back? Okay. So we have, of course, a stronger socio-economic and climate resilience, and obviously soil regeneration. But the very interesting thing is health. Health that is reported by all the farmers from their transition. So how do we scale up? We've been able now to expand the initiative to 6 countries. We're doing digitalization. You can go on the AKF Learning Hub online. It's absolutely for free, and you have access to training material. We are still developing it, and I would love us to have some material specifically on Artemisia, and this is my wish. So we're going to push for this. We're also in a situation where we need to strengthen our partnership with academics and research institutions. Obviously, the Aga Khan Foundation is not a research institution, but also farmers cannot wait for research, right? Sorry to say this. They need immediate solutions that are easy, that are cheap, and that are impactful. So now we have one of the SIMs that is called BioSpray. It's a biopesticide, okay? So how did it start? We had the very farmers that had been working with us being very impressed with one thing. We asked them to recycle their domestic ash from wood or charcoal. This was the first SIM. It's the simplest, okay? Kenya is producing every day 4,000 metric tons of ash. And this ash gets thrown away when in fact it's an excellent fertilizer and amendment for soils. So the very fact that farmers were using handfuls of ash to put in the hole where they put their maize, they were sowing their maize, had an incredible impact on the yields. So then they saw it was working. So they said, oh, it's a fantastic solution, but we have a problem. We have fall armyworm on corn. We have mealybugs on coffee. We have tuta absoluta on tomatoes. Do you have a solution? And we were pretty lost, I need to say, to start with. But then the thinking was the following. I had read some research on synergies and cocktail effect. And it was indicated that more and more reports about acute poisoning from chemical pesticides came by the very fact that there was a combination of pesticides. And as a matter of fact, it's proven that some molecules, when consumed together in an agricultural product, become 10,000 times or even more, 10,000 times more toxic because of the synergy between two molecules. So starting from that point, we discussed internally and said, well, if the synergy, if the cocktail effect works with chemical pesticides, why wouldn't it work with natural molecules? So, you know, we hear about resistance from neem extract, for example, alone, or from garlic, or from even tobacco being used sometimes in organic, non-organic farming, okay? But how about mixing some of these plants? How about putting things together? So we said to farmers, okay, let's see how we can prepare something, and you will try. We guarantee nothing, but let's see if it works. So the requirements for us were, can we go back? To go for 100% affordable and natural and local ingredients. Farmers cannot afford to go and buy ingredients that come from far away. It needs to be a participative co-development. We didn't have, experimental plots. We did the experiment on the spot with the farmers. It needs to be synergistic for the chemical effects, as I explained earlier. And it needs to be a live product for biological effects. Because there's also articles and research articles proving that insects, pest insects, can get diarrhea. And if they get diarrhea, they die within 3 days because there's necrosis of their gut. So why not combine those two as well? And where do you find the bacteria that are going to give you diarrhea? Well, you know where, okay? So, hence the idea of coming with a procedure and a system where we would mix lots of things and see how it works. And we were absolutely not sure about the results, to be honest with you. Our idea was, okay, if we were able to decrease by 20–40% the pest prevalence and the damages, would be great. So, farmers came back to us and said, you guys from AKF, you're doing witchcrafting. We were like, why? This thing works so well. We have no more fall army worms in our fields. We're able to control mealybugs in coffee. And we were very surprised. So we rushed to the field to see with our own eyes what we had been reported about, because it was also, we were totally taken by surprise, to be honest, on this. So based on this, based on the same type of approach, where basically we're dealing with people that had low opportunity for education, many of them being illiterate, we had to develop also an approach on the recipe. And from the beginning, the decision was, we will not give any recipe. Why? Because, we're used to working with farmers, and farmers are very, very skeptical by nature, even by DNA. And they also look for excuses. Okay, this plant that you have in the list, I don't have it on my farm, I'm not going to use your solution. That's a risk. So what we did, instead of coming with a list of species, we came with a key of identification. So, first question we asked the farmers, you belong to the Maasai tribe or you belong to this other tribe? We're sure that traditionally, you know a few plants that are being used to destroy pests. So they all know 2, 3, 4, 5. And they can name them in their vernacular names. So just put it on the list. Then, and these keys are not exclusive, they're complementary. Then we tell them, you probably have in your environment, even in your farm, even among the weeds you have here, plants that have a very strong smell, that have a very bitter taste, or even better, a white sap. And they always have, yeah, true, I have this one, that one, no. Collect them, put them. And then you may have plants that without any explanation are pest-free. It's not for no reason. It's impossible. We all know that nature is all about chemical warfare, right? And there's always a fight between, pests and plants. So if you find a plant that is naturally free from pests, this may be a good candidate. Just pick it. Last but not least, plants that are not foraged by goats. Why goats? Because horses, cows, donkeys, even sheep will poison themselves quite easily. You will never find a goat poisoning itself. They're way too smart for that. So if you see that your goats are not foraging a plant, and this plant is not protecting itself with thorns or things that prevent the goat from accessing it, there's something in it that is of interest for you. So at the end of the day, they always come with about 5, 10, 20 species that they have. And they build their own recipe. And as a matter of fact, we're taking advantage also of a legislation loophole, where, of course, farmers cannot sell natural pesticides that they have produced on their farm, because then they would go against the law, they would put themselves in trouble, because there needs to be a certification process that is cumbersome, very long, it takes 4 or 5 years, it's complex. But there's always a possibility for the farmer to produce his own inputs and to use them on his own farm, okay? So that's what we're doing. At contrario, in India, for example, where there's this whole culture around Ayurvedic medicine and everything, there's a whole industry that we've been able to develop, particularly led by women, by the way, for natural pesticide production. It's not yet the case in Africa, but it's not a good reason enough for African farmers not to be given the opportunity to access those solutions, okay? So, how do you prepare it? That's where it gets a bit dirty, eh? So, what do you need? You need the active plant ingredients. So usually we recommend at least 5, minimum. But it's often, often farmers will say, oh, 5, no, I have 8 on my farm, easy to access. I don't even have to go to the agri-vet shop for this. It's on my farm. So they collect a certain quantity of these leaves, and they put them in this 250 liters blue drum. We recommend not to chop those leaves, or especially not to crush them. The reason being that it would allow for enzymatic destruction of some molecules or oxidation. So how do you open the cells without crushing them? Well, there are animals called ruminants that do this very well, okay? And they have in their gut all the bacteria, fungi, and microorganisms that break open the cells. So we need fresh ruminant manure, okay? So far it's for free, eh? You only have to buy the drum, okay? So fresh ruminant manure, cow manure, goat manure, sheep manure works extremely well. All of them work equally well. So no excuse for the farmer, okay? Again, not to do it. Then to feed those microorganisms, you need a source of carbohydrate, right? And to feed them, we need sugar. Sugar is expensive. So, and we don't want to give, again, excuses to the farmers. So we tell them, okay, do you have a sugarcane factory in the area? Oh yeah. They sell molasses. It's almost for free. It's very cheap. Okay. Oh no, I don't have a sugar factory in my area, but I have sugarcane on my farm. Just press the juice. Very easy. Oh no, I don't grow sugarcane. Do you have bananas? When they're overripe, like black, what do you do with them? It's full of sugar. Use it, crush it, and use it. So there's always something, always a source. But then you have fermentation that will take place, and therefore particularly acetic acid that is going to be produced, and you know that this acid will stop the microorganism activity, and that's not what we want, because we want a full digestion of the organic matter. So we use a product to buffer the pH. What could it be? Very simple. Domestic ash. And if you're able to get better than this, you may want to have dolomite powder or even limestone powder. Works perfectly well. Then you add water. all in the drum, all the way to the top. You stir every day a little bit because it's an anaerobic fermentation, so it will release quite a lot of CO2 and methane. And then you cover with a mosquito net and a rubber band to hold it tight. So the advice we give farmers is, please don't do it near your house, okay? And especially put it downwind. If possible, against the wall, you know, near your neighbor that puts the music on so loud on Sunday mornings, okay? So it's going to be quite smelly, right? So, so it works, and it's very simple. So depending on the temperature, the season, the climate, and everything, the fermentation process takes anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks. In colder climates, such as Kyrgyzstan, where we also have a new initiative starting with this and where it works so well, we tell them, please do the fermentation if it's during the cold period of the year, at least 3 months, or during summertime, up to a month. So how do you use it? Well, first of all, you collect your liquid, and you filter it through 3 layers of cloth over a bucket. It's very simple. You just use old T-shirts, works perfectly well. Okay? Then you make sure that this liquid, you either want to dilute it. So dilutions that we recommend are 2, 5, or 10, usually. So it's very simple for the farmers, okay? They do applications most of the time using backpack sprayers that are pretty much available. But the filtering must be extremely thorough and good. Why? Because you don't want to clog the sprayer head, okay? But then we've also done drone spraying. And when you spray by drone, you should avoid doing any dilution. Because the drones fly quite high, the dispersion is quite high too, and also you can only pass once with a drone if you want to be economically viable. So you need to increase the concentration. You should always add soap as a soaking agent, not during the fermentation because it will stop it, but just as you're applying the product. So when you fill up the tank of your backpack sprayer or your drone. We recommend late day application. Why? Because this is a non-selective product, so we don't want to harm pollinators. But at the end of the day, most of them are back to their colonies, so you can start spraying. And usually, when it's in a preventative setting, we recommend farmers, we're speaking again about smallholder farms, so it's very feasible, to spray 3 days in a row at the end of the day, like at 4 or 5 p.m. And then to do it again 10 to 15 days later, waiting for the new generation of pests, eggs to have hatched, and so on. With this, we get an almost total control over a large amount and a wide range of pests. When it's curative, you spray on the areas that are affected, and you spray for as long as you need to kill them, but usually it's never more than 3 days. Okay? So how does it work? Well, you have the huge number of molecules that are interacting there, also, for sure, but we also clearly can say that there's diarrhea. I mean, the fall armyworms, they show necrosis of their whole gut very, very quickly. So it's a double action. It's on one hand, it's biochemical, and on the other hand, it's really biological warfare. So how do you store it? It needs to be stored in a cool, shaded place. You can store it up to 3 months without molasses. If you want to store it for longer, you need to put half of the quantity in storage with pure molasses. And why the molasses? Because you need to feed the microorganisms that are still living in it. But of course, diluting 50% with molasses means you will have to redo your calculation when you restart the product. Honestly, out of more than 15,000 farms now in the program in Kenya, in the pilot, but bear in mind we're now doing it in Madagascar, Mozambique, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, and Egypt. So in excess of, from the calculation I'm doing with all the ones in Madagascar, we're in excess of 50, 60,000 farms now. We never had this, eh? They never have to store. They produce and produce and produce, and it's just a very, very smooth process. Next. So, do you want to see a small film? So we'll put a small film, and I have my great colleague Liz, who's starring on this film. So she will tell you how she does her own biospray.
Nothing worse than waking up one morning only to find that your crops are infested by pests. And the solutions available on the market can make you feel quite helpless. Chemical pesticides are not only expensive, but also toxic and not always that efficient. So, what if I told you there is an easier way to produce a natural form of pesticide that is efficient and completely safe for both human beings and animals, and that you could make it yourself at your own farm at almost no cost? Want to know more? It's almost no cost because you will of course need a few basic materials. A 50-liter plastic drum with a lid, 2 pieces of cloth, some rubber bands, a stirring stick, a funnel, and a bucket. The ingredients are all free, and you'll be able to find them within or around your farm. 10 kilos of fresh cow dung to bring in the live bacteria, 1 liter of cow or rabbit urine for the nitrogen that's needed to cultivate the bacteria, and 5 kilos of crushed leaves from at least 5 different plant species. Make sure to look for plants that are reputed to be toxic or that have a strong smell. You will want plants that are very bitter and plants that do not show any signs of insect attacks. Artemisia, malaria, billy goatweed, neem, eucalyptus, lantana can all work great, but you have many more. To buffer acidity, you'll also need 2 kilos of either domestic ash, limestone powder, or dolomite powder, which you'll need to run through a sieve. Then, to feed the bacteria, you'll need 3 kilos of sugar, or 2 liters of molasses, or 5 liters of sugarcane juice. And finally, water to fill up the drum. And that's it. So, what do you do with all this? Well, as you can imagine, it's going to get quite smelly. So here's what I recommend. Take the drum away from your house, put it in the shade of a tree, take all the ingredients I just mentioned, and mix them well using the stirring stick. Then, fill up the drum with water, cover it with a cloth, and fasten with a rubber band. The biospray will need to ferment for about 2 weeks before being ready. During this time, Make sure to stir your mix every day to remove any gas produced. When the 2 weeks are up, take the second cloth and filter the mix through it. Pour the mix over the cloth into a bucket and discard the rest. To finish the process, take the funnel and pour the biospray from the bucket into small drums. You can store your biospray like this for up to 3 months in a cool and shaded place. With this done, you're ready for action. Take 1 liter of the biospray and mix it with 9 liters of water. Fill your backspray sprayer with the diluted biospray and add 2 tablespoons of soap as a soaking agent. You can now start spraying your plots. You'll get the best results if you apply the treatment 3 to 4 days in a row in the late afternoon or before sunset. Then, wait for a week before another 3 to 4 day treatment. Homemade biospray is very efficient against a wide range of insects and pests, and it costs you very little. Remember, you can prepare it yourself on your farm using local ingredients available any time of the year. Ready to give it a try?
Before asking you a question, we'll be short. Just to let you know, so so we have a recipe actually. Okay, it's a recipe where with an excess of 25 species of ingredients. We've tested it, and it's absolutely, as Canadians say, the shit. So good. Okay, so it works incredibly well, and it allows us to really have a level of control over pests that outcompetes any chemical product I know in the market. Okay, so that's our experience. We're in a tricky position there because we don't want also patents to be put on things like that, and then farmers to be kicked out of the possibility of really benefiting from this. So for the moment, all of these things are in between the hands of lawyers and people that are advising us in order to protect the best interests of farmers. But Liz, what is your experience with all of this?
Thank you, Didier. So the experience has been great. I think when we started this, Didier and I, nobody believed in us. It was just Didier and myself. When I was working at an organization, private sector, and then Didier and I came together to make this happen. And it started hard and tough. It looks easy now because it's been 3 years of testing and trying. Like I say, nobody sees what happens behind the scene. But we're working with farmers in Kenya. Those who are from Kenya know Kirinyaga County and Kwale County, where we're working with farmers. Here in Tanzania, we're working with farmers here in Arusha, Morogoro, Dar es Salaam, in different areas, the same to Uganda, and we've recently expanded to Mozambique and Madagascar. I think the first slide that Didier showed you shows the rice that was being grown, the first slide. So the experience has been great, a lot of lessons. I think when we started the first SIMS, because it's a whole package, but specifically for this biospray, the journey has been testing, trying, improving, and learning. So if I come to Arusha South and I go to Arusha North, if there's anything like that, farmers here can be able to do it differently from farmers in Arusha North, because we contextualize it to fit the people in that community so that it's not difficult and it's simple. Because during COVID, we saw a lot of challenges that farmers faced, the dependence on chemicals, and if you've recently just seen the expose by the nation media of cancer over the years in Kenya, where we've never had cancer in central Kenya, it's just been saddening. So having to be able to give farmers solutions that are good for their health, that are able to ensure that they can grow their crops all year round without having to say, we have to wait for the rains, we have to wait for fertilizer. We've had cases of fake fertilizer, we've had cases where fertilizer never gets to the farmers. And if they're solely dependable on fertilizers and these biopesticides, then they're not able to do anything. Leave alone food for sale, just food to feed their own family. So when you're able to have these small kitchen gardens, when you're able to have these small farms, because most of the farmers are smallholder farmers growing their food this way, we're happy to see it. And I'm happy to report that we have farmers that have transitioned 100% to regenerative farming. So if you visit Kenya, if you visit Tanzania, we have farmers, we say it's a journey. It's not something that you do easily. So farmers test and try, and we tell them to do that. Where on that side, they can grow using all the chemicals, all the biopesticide that they want. And on this side, we grow it regeneratively. So it's them testing and learning. So we don't have like demo plots that AKF owns or AKF is telling people this is how you do it. Because when you visit demo farms, they always look amazing. You don't see pests, you don't see diseases. But when you go to our farmers, because you use the farmer field school method, you'll be able to see the difference. With coffee, I think those who are getting bonuses now are happy, because what you can do is you sometimes can't control the market. But if you can control the inputs, if you can control the amount of money the farmer is putting into his soil, then you can be able to make that. Farmers should be the wealthiest. They should be autonomous, and they should be able to say, this is the choice I have. I have choice A, I have choice B, I have choice C, and that's what we're trying to give them. So I'll just like to say, we are happy to be able to do this with the grain champions, with the anchor farmers, and it's been an amazing journey, and I hope you can come with us. And Artemisia is one of the core crops, because Artemisia anno is huge in Kenya. In Kirinyaga, it's grown as a fence crop. It's what farmers use it for. So thank you so much.
So yeah, just to put back things into context, within the range of plants that are active in this, and to be back into the symposium, there are 400 to 500 species of Artemisias in the world, okay? But Artemisia annua and Artemisia afra are like superstars. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Didier. One question: since the product is very efficient for plants, did you check the problem on human health? Do you have any? Because
so,
you know, for example, neem oil is very efficient. It's very natural, but also can be very dangerous for the people.
So that's a very good question and a very important one. So first of all, our concern has always been with people not consuming the product by accident. Thankfully, it smells so bad and it's so yucky that nobody normal is ever going to try this. The second thing is, what we're getting as a report from people is that, first of all, it's a topical product, okay? It's not a systemic pesticide. So it's just a matter of washing properly the vegetables or the fruits, and it works amazingly well. We've never had a single case of farmers complaining about any toxicity or any problem there, but we're very cautious with this, and we're monitoring all the time and giving very clear instructions, okay? Don't drink the thing. Wash your hands after. Just the same instructions that are given for chemical counterparts, but honestly, we never ever had any issue on this. Another element also that you will see is that since it's a live product, the biodegradability is super quick. So there's no remnants in the crop where you will have the product that will be still active for sometimes decades, like the chlordécone in La Martinique and Guadeloupe or others, but no, we don't have. We've never had any documented issue, and we systematically give instructions and ask.